The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord Christ.
Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. When he went out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, 'You also go into the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right.' So they went. When he went out again about noon and about 3 o'clock, he did the same. And about 5 o'clock, he went out and found others standing around, and he said to them, 'Why are you standing here idle all day?' They said to him, 'Because no one has hired us.' He said to them, 'You also go into the vineyard.' When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, 'Call the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last, then going to the first.' When those hired about 5 o'clock came, each of them received the usual daily wage. Now when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received the usual daily wage. And when they received it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, 'These last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat.' But he replied to one of them, 'Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to the last the same as I give to you. And am I not allowed to do what I choose and what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Daily wages carry a lot of experiences and thoughts and feelings that have nothing to do with money, and sometimes they have a lot to do with this esteem and sense of position. I was sitting on a band bus in 1994, and it was a little bus, and we're going to Wembley Stadium, and Marvin Hamlish, who was the music director, was on the bus with us, and so he's hanging out with the guys, as it were, and he was telling us the story of when he got called to conduct for Streisand. And as he told the story, I'm thinking to myself, here's someone who has a Tony, an Emmy, an Oscar, a Grammy, and a Pulitzer Prize. So he's done okay. And he's telling them the story, and he's saying, "Yeah, Barbara called me up, and she only gave me like a couple of months' notice, and I was just like so scared that my calendar was going to be full and I wouldn't be able to do it." And I mean, so what I took away from that is, here's someone with a Grammy, a Tony, an Emmy, an Oscar, and a Pulitzer Prize who's thinking that this might be the last good job he ever gets called for. I think that can't possibly be. But I think that that's very much the nature of musicians, and it may be the nature of other folks as well, that the phone rings and you want to be able to try to do everything. Nowadays when the phone rings, I find it's about babysitting for my grandson, and I really want to make sure I'm able to do that. And I hope I can make the adjustments that I need to make so that I can be there. Jesus and God tried to get out ahead of our understanding of economy a long time ago. God did it in the wilderness with the ancient people of Israel when they were wandering about following Moses, and they were wondering where their next meal would come from. And God rains down manna. God rains down daily bread. Enough food for one day. Plenty of food, but not too much. Enough. If they had too much bread, it would rot. It would become riddled with worms. There was no reason. There was no sense in having more than even plenty, it had no value. And I think Jesus carries that miracle forward, and when he feeds the 5,000, when everyone is fed, they get enough. Plenty, but not too much. And I think this connects with the gospel for today and the story of the hired hands in the vineyard. How they each get enough. They get plenty. It's not too much, but it changes the way we think about economy. You know, back in Egypt's time, we thought about submission and domination and the rich and the poor and the powerless and the powerful. And we keep reframing those images, and today we think about who's first and who's last and who's superior and who's inferior and who's the winner and the loser, the honored and the shamed, and we do it with economy. We do it, and sometimes we take it upon ourselves too, you know. I don't know if you've ever been out of work. That's really hard on the human spirit. It's so hard. I don't know if you've ever collected unemployment. I have. Back when you used to stand online, it's really hard on the spirit. And I know that it's hard to retire and fill up those days. You know, people used to be so busy. They were so active. So many people were coming to them, asking their opinion and wanting them to kind of give them some direction and share their knowledge. And then, you know, all of a sudden you're retired and you may not have those opportunities. That we have people that maybe claim a sense of esteem by letting others know that they work 60, 70 hours a week, and they probably still have time to go play golf and play with their grandchildren. I mean, they're super people, but I mean, we use these things to kind of define ourselves, and I think Jesus is trying to say, no. We define ourselves, I think, by leveling the playing field and giving others from even the little bit that we have, or maybe from the abundance that we have. But to be missioners, to go out and give, and then give some more, knowing that we have plenty. We have more than enough. You know, I look at the children and their families that come to the preschool today, and I'm reminded that it's changed. You know, I was here 8 years ago, first time I stood outside and welcomed families, and back then there were a lot of stay-at-home moms that were sending their children off to preschool and the academy for daycare, and the stay-at-home moms were getting together with their mom groups and out, you know, having some nice adventures that fed them and nourished them, and probably doing some kind of community service too. We're not seeing stay-at-home moms nowadays coming to the academy. We see double-income families. We see huge racial mix. We see families where they're heading out to go to Saddleback to attend the college during the day and take some classes, and then they're running out to another job in the afternoon, and they're squeezing time in at the end of the day to prepare meals and share days and life's experiences with their loved ones. We see blended families of all sorts of wonderful creation, and they need this place. They need a place where their children will be safe, and they need a place where the values that they hope their children might hear are shared. They need to come to chapel. They need to learn songs. They need to get into the car and tell their families about all of that. And I'm reminded that that's something that we support. That's something that we do, something that we're about, something that says this is why we're here. And it makes a difference. And it makes a difference. I think a genuine concern is being the laborer who's sincerely worried that they're not going to get that job. They're not going to have enough. They're going to go hungry. That there are people out there that are saying, give me this day my daily bread, instead of give us this day our daily bread. And I'm here to tell you that you're here at just the right time. That even if you have loved ones that are maybe following their own path, they're not going to get here too late. They'll experience God's presence at just the right time. Paul tells us that in his letter to the church at Rome, that God will make God's self known. And God knows you. God knows your name. God knows every hair on your head. God knows every wrinkle from your smiles. God knows every longing of your heart. And don't worry if you feel like you're at the end of the line. You're actually first. Amen.